Who is Kenny G numerologically? Is the extraordinary success of one of the world's most recognizable saxophonists simply the result of pure talent and hard work? Or do hidden numerical patterns reveal a deeper story behind his journey? Born Kenneth Bruce Gorelick in 1956, he literally transformed smooth jazz into a global phenomenon. But his career is filled with some truly fascinating contradictions. So in today's Explainer, we're going to find out exactly what the numbers have to say.
To get to the bottom of this, we are going to cross-reference the hard biographical evidence of Kenny G's life against his DOMS-NUMS numerology charts. We'll be looking closely at his number profile and his life graph to reach a final verdict. Does the math actually reflect the man behind the music? Let's dive in. First, we've got to establish the sheer scale of his success. You definitely know him for his signature curly hair and that soprano sax, but the math here is just staggering. 75 million. Kenny G is the best-selling instrumentalist of all time, with over 75 million records sold globally. His music is woven so deeply into the global cultural fabric that his song Going Home is famously played at the end of each day to signal closing time across businesses in China and Vietnam. Yet, he exists in this really wild paradox. On one hand, he objectively achieves massive commercial love, Grammy Awards, and billions of streams. But on the other hand, he simultaneously endures some pretty venomous hatred from jazz purists. As one documentary highlighted, some critics have brutally called his music masturbation, not jazz, claiming it's entirely self-indulgent. We're going to impartially look at exactly how he handles this intense divide.
Section 1. The Character Blueprint. Stubborn Persistence.
Let's see if his DOMS-NUMS character profile predicts the unyielding drive you'd need to survive that kind of intense industry polarization. His core character reading describes someone who faces obstacles in life and is stubborn, while also noting a tendency toward being impatient. Does this match Kenneth Gorelick? Well, considering he famously failed his initial middle school band audition but stubbornly persisted until he earned a spot, I'd say we are off to a very accurate start.
This numerological stubbornness perfectly mirrors his real-world persistence. Even today, at 68 years old, with absolutely nothing left to prove to anyone, he still strictly practices the saxophone for 3 hours every single day. He even noted recently that after 3 hours of practice, he still thinks to himself, you know what? I'm getting better at this. That is a relentless, stubborn pursuit of perfection. And if you want physical proof to back up that stubbornness, just look at this time. 45 minutes and 47 seconds. That is exactly how long Kenny G had to single E-flat note on his saxophone in 1997, literally setting a Guinness World Record. He pulled this off using a technique called circular breathing, where you inhale through your nose while simultaneously pushing air out of your mouth. It's the ultimate musical manifestation of his unyielding persistence.
Section 2. The Life Graph. An Early Bloomer's Breakthrough.
Let's see how his character builds into the actual timeline of his career. The DOMS-NUMS system explicitly classifies Kenny G as an early bloomer. Notice that massive red line shooting up on the chart? That shows a peak energy level of 9, arriving exactly at age 19. The reading specifically notes that the graph climbs towards age 19 and tells the subject to use the peak years with full intention. So what was happening when Kenny G turned 19? Checking the historical record, this numerological peak perfectly aligns with his big break. While he was still a teenager, around age 17 to 19, he was hired to play with Barry White's Love Unlimited Orchestra. And the best part of this story? He was told to wear a suit for the gig, and the only one he owned was his old bar mitzvah suit, a plaid jacket with maroon pants. He wore it, played the gig, and his professional career was officially launched right at that mathematical peak.
When we map his real-life milestones out on the life graph, it shows incredible continued alignment. His mainstream explosion happened with his album Breathless in 1992, which went 12 times platinum. That massive cultural explosion leads right into his second major numerological peak on the life graph, which hits exactly at age 39 in 1995. The peaks of his chart literally mirror the peaks of his global stardom.
Section 3. The Critics, Life Path 5, and the Backlash.
So, how does he navigate all that intense backlash while maintaining massive success? Let's check his DOMS-NUMS life path. His chart identifies him as a life path 5, which is categorized as Earth, the free spirit. The reading states that this path is all about experiencing life fully, learning to channel freedom constructively, and essentially doing things entirely on your own terms. It highlights versatility and enthusiasm as core strengths.
This Life Path 5 reading flawlessly explains his utterly unflappable response to his harshest critics. When faced with brutal takedowns from jazz legends like guitarist Pat Metheny, Kenny G doesn't lash out. He just calmly says, "I play my music the way I play my music. I never looked for commercial success. Fortunately, it worked out that way." He is a man perfectly content in his own artistic bubble, a true free spirit.
And by tuning out those critics, he managed to achieve a staggering cultural impact. This illustrates the power of following his own path. With 1.5 billion streams and 75 million global sales, his music transcended traditional jazz boundaries entirely, becoming the soundtrack for weddings, elevators, and even Super Bowl commercials.
Section 4. The Business Mind, Accounting and Angels.
To fully understand the man, we have to look beyond the saxophone and investigate the financial side of his success. The Doms Nums blueprint explicitly states he needs someone with a business mind to guide you. In real life, he found exactly that in legendary record impresario Clive Davis, who mentored him and guided him to record a massive holiday album. The chart also claims he has a lucky charm or guardian angel. That completely materialized when he made an unimaginably lucky early investment in a little local coffee shop called Starbucks. His stock eventually soared 12,000%.
But Kenny G didn't just blindly rely on guardian angels or luck, he actively hedged his bets. Recognizing early on that a career in music is a massive risk, he actually enrolled at the University of Washington and got a degree in accounting. He advises other artists to be smart because fame can end at any time. This shows a remarkably grounded approach to risk management, perfectly balancing out his free spirit artistic side.
Section 5. The Final Verdict. Man or Math?
Okay, let's bring all this evidence together. We've looked at the character traits, the timeline, the backlash, and the business acumen. From the stubborn persistence that fueled world records in 3-hour daily practices to the sudden age 19 peak that launched his career with Barry White. From his unflappable free spirit approach to critics to finding the exact business mentors his chart said he needed. The alignment between his real-life biography and these numerological charts is undeniably striking.
So who is Kenny G numerologically? A gifted musician, a relentless achiever, a master communicator through sound? Or is he living out a numerical pattern that was visible long before the world heard his saxophone? We've laid out the facts from his incredible career alongside the mathematical blueprint of his birth date. Study the charts, examine the evidence, and decide for yourself if this musical empire is the result of pure talent or a destiny written in the numbers. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.